Hey everybody, how's it going? There are two very important points that I want to get across with this video. The first is the misconception that the EDA, Equipment Dealer Association, is working with right to repair people to try and compromise and negotiate a proper right to repair bill. The second thing that I want to discuss in this video is the mischaracterization of right to repair activists as bullies by those who don't like the fact that they're being held to task for the first time in their professional career. Let's discuss the Equipment Dealers Association first. I discussed them in a recent video. They kind of portray themselves as a hero for the working man, for the farmer, and they're not. They're the hero of the dealership. They're the hero of the manufacturer themselves. And it's important that when they make claims that they want to work with these right to repair people, but they're just so unreasonable, that you understand what type of compromise that they are pushing for. I would like to read to you the exemption language that they have proposed here for the right to repair legislation. This is proposed amendments to the Right to Repair Fair Legislation Act. I'm going to read you the legal speak. If you would like to fast forward to my interpretation, because legal speak is kind of boring, I will have a timestamp down below for you. Now, just to be clear, just because I fix MacBooks and consumer electronics, that does not mean that I will not be advocating right alongside farmers and people that want to be able to fix tractors and other types of gear. Right to repair is not an Apple movement. It's not a laptop movement. It is a cultural movement. And I am more than happy to support those who want to work on gear that I don't know how to work on. I'm a person that, again, I was born in Brooklyn. I live in New York my whole life. I've probably seen 2 or 3 trees in my lifetime, but I'm more than happy to advocate on behalf of farmers here. We are on the same side. We live in different parts of the country. We grew up under very different circumstances, but we are advocating for the same thing. Proposed amendments to Right to Repair, Fair Repair legislation from the EDA. The following additional definitions should be added. Non-road engine means an internal combustion engine, including the fuel system or other power sources, including electric, battery, or fuel cell, that is not used in a motor vehicle or a vehicle solely for competition, or that is not subject to the standards of performance for stationary sources or the emission standards for motor vehicles or motor vehicle engines promulgated under the Clean Air Act. Non-road equipment means equipment that is powered by a non-road engine, and any tools, technology, attachments, accessories, components, and repair parts for any of the foregoing that is not a motor vehicle, a vehicle used solely for competition, or a non-road vehicle. Non-road vehicle means a vehicle that is powered by a non-road engine and is not a motor vehicle or a vehicle used solely for competition. Non-road engine, non-road equipment, or a non-road vehicle dealer means any person that is not engaged in the sale, distribution, repair, maintenance, or service of non-road engines, non-road equipment, or non-road vehicles to the ultimate purchaser. Non-road engine, non-road equipment, and non-road vehicle manufacturer means any person engaged in the manufacturing, assembling, or distribution of non-road engines, non-road equipment, or non-road vehicles, or importing such engines, equipment, or vehicles for resale, or who acts for or is under the control of any such person in connection with the distribution of non-road engines, non-road equipment, or non-road vehicles, but shall not include any dealer with respect to non-road engines, non-road equipment, non-road vehicles, non-road equipment, or non-road vehicles received by him in commerce. Stationary engine means an internal combustion engine or other power sources, including electric, battery, or fuel cell that is not used in a motor vehicle, a vehicle used solely for competition, a non-road vehicle, or non-road equipment. Stationary equipment means equipment that is powered by a stationary engine, and any tools, technology, attachments, accessories, components, and repair parts for any of the foregoing that is not a motor vehicle, a vehicle used solely for competition, a non-road vehicle, or non-road equipment. Stationary engine or stationary equipment manufacturer means any person engaged in the manufacturing, assembling, or distribution of stationary engines or stationary equipment, or importing such engines or equipment for resale, or who acts for and is under the control of any such person in connection with the distribution of stationary engines or stationary equipment, but shall not include any dealer with respect to the stationary engines or stationary equipment received by him in commerce. The following exclusion shall be added. Now that we've gone through the definitions, let's go through the exclusions. Nothing in this section shall apply to A, non-road engine, non-road equipment, or non-road vehicle manufacturers, any product or service of a non-road engine, non-road equipment, or non-road vehicle manufacturer, or non-road engine, non-road equipment, or non-road vehicle dealers. B, stationary engine or stationary equipment manufacturers, any product or service of a stationary engine or a stationary equipment manufacturer, or stationary engine or stationary equipment dealers. C, engines and other power sources, including electric, battery, fuel cell, used in marine applications, including for propulsion and power generation, marine engines, or any products designed to operate on waterways and using marine engines, including any tools, technology, attachments, accessories, components, and repair parts for any of the foregoing marine products. Marine engine manufacturers, marine product manufacturers, any product or service of a marine engine or marine product manufacturer, or dealers who sell, distribute, repair, maintain, or service marine engines and / marine products, and any product or service provided by such dealers. Translation. We fully support the Right to Repair Bill and the Fair Repair Act, as long as it doesn't mean that you can actually repair anything that's associated with us. Or, I support you marrying my daughter. I think you're a great guy, and I'd be happy to have you marry my daughter under these 3 conditions. A, you not speak to her or think of her on days ending in Y. B, you not live with her on days ending in Y. C, you not physically see her or speak to her on days ending in Y. Except for that, I fully support you marrying my daughter. See what they're doing there? And here's the thing, that you know what they're going to say? You know what they're going to say? They're going to say, because I've heard this before, we really wanted to work with those right to repair people, but you just can't compromise with them. They're radicals. They're crazy activists. Look at this guy on YouTube from New York that waves his hands in the air like crazy. You can't compromise with these people. We tried, legislator. We really did. Gosh darn it. This right to repair thing, they actually mean repair, and they want to actually be able to fix things. And when we exclude every single item under the sun, they're just not interested in it. You understand that I don't want to throw the farmers under the bus, right? Like, they've been advocating for right to repair probably longer than I have. The Nebraska Farm Bureau voted for right to repair, what was it, like 176-1 or something a few years ago? The New York Farm Bureau wants this. Nebraska Farm Bureau wants this. Lots of farmers want this for good reasons. They want to be able to fix the tractors that they own because they cost multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars to purchase, and they need it to do their harvest. They can't wait 1 or 2 or 3 days for the dealer to come out, because by the time the dealer can come out, they're screwed. They missed their opportunity. And this is why this is important to them. And if it's important to them, it's important to me. I don't want to exclude them from this bill. And I don't want to allow the Equipment Dealer Association to be able to get away and claim that what they're doing here is sticking up for the farmer, is claim that they're sticking up for the little guy, is claim that they made every attempt whatsoever to reach across the aisle in a bipartisan fashion and put up the buttons on their polo shirt until it damn near choked their neck out because of how professional they were being, and really try their best to negotiate with these right to repair people, but they're just so unreasonable. They're not. This is a middle finger. This is a middle finger in legalese so that it's more difficult for you to understand it. Most of you probably had your eyes glaze over until you fast-forwarded to my summary, but that's what they're saying. They're saying we happily support right to repair, as long as you actually can't fix anything. As long as it's nothing that has to do with our products. None of our products, none of the people that sell our products or work on our products can ever touch this, but yeah, we totally support it. It's important that that narrative not take hold. It's important that you speak with your local legislator and make sure that they know that. Because your local legislator is dealing with a lot of stuff. There's immigration, there's taxation, there is the stimulus stuff, there's all sorts of stuff they have on their plate, abortion, healthcare, everything else. They can't know about everything. They rely on their constituents to let them know what's going on. That's you. Second point I want to get to here, it's a far more important point, and it's a point I discussed in another video that I will link to down below, but it needs to be mentioned again. We have a lot of new people here, and this is something that's going to be happening more and more often. I need to unbutton this because this is actually starting to choke me. My God. Yeah, this is absolutely horrible. I don't know why they put these buttons there, because you can't actually button them without damn near cutting off your ability to breathe. That's much better. I did a video a while back where I was expressing frustration with the fact that there are disingenuous lobbyists out there that are actually trying to play the victim card. What they're trying to do, while simultaneously lobbying against legislation that protects the property rights of Americans that most people in the United States support, is say that when people like me show up in a hearing and put a camera in the corner of the room and record the argument that they make and record the lies that they tell about us being able to install TikTok on phones and the security and magtrometers exploding and all this other stupid, silly horse crap, when I do that and when I come back home and when I edit that video, and when I post their argument, and then I post my counter-argument and say why it's not true, that what I'm doing is bullying, and that they are victims. If he's a bully, and he is for that legislation, it must be bad. If this lobbyist over here is a victim, and they say it's bad legislation, well, they must be correct. You have to listen to them. They're the victim. You may think this is ridiculous, but this is what is actually happening behind closed doors. And this is one of the things that aggravates me more than anything else, is when people say things like, listen, man, we would have listened to what you had to say if only you said it the right way. I remember that last year. I remember when someone was talking about how if we fix a phone, and with this right to repair legislation passing, we could maybe install TikTok on it. You want TikTok on it, right? You want China in your phone, spying on you. Like half of the American companies like Google and Facebook already doing that, but they're ignoring the fact that when I fix your phone, I would need your password to install an application, and your able to say, I don't want you to have the password. When we point these things out, that we are the bullies, and that they would have been more than happy to work with us. But Louis used the word clueless in the thumbnail and had a picture of the lobbyist. So we're not going to talk with you anymore. When this happens, sometimes I may almost think they're correct. But then I remember events like Nebraska in 2017 when there was a senator that was going to sit down with Gay and myself and Kevin, Farmer, canceled his meeting and went to followthemoney.org, and I found out very soon thereafter he canceled his meeting with us. He got over $3,000 from the lobbyist for AT&T that was lobbying against right to repair that day. Here's the thing that pisses me off more than anything else, and you let me know if you think I'm being overly bombastic here or getting overly sensitive, is when people say, I would have absolutely listened to everything you said if you simply did it with your bow tie on, and you did everything the way I wanted you to do it. I would have listened to you. If you just shut up and were in the corner and you spoke in a very low voice and you weren't very convincing and you didn't really inspire anybody and you had no following and your YouTube videos where you were discussing this had 8 views, then I totally listen to you. But you actually speak in a manner that causes people to want to take action, that inspires people to fight for change, that gets people off their ass and actually at a point where they may show up for question 1 in Massachusetts. They may actually want to vote to change things. They may want to run for office themselves. They may want to do something. We can't have that here. We can't have that. So we're going to start we're going to try to start boxing you in. We're going to say that you're a bully. And this is one of the things that's kind of reminds me of this. Hopefully I don't throw people off here by getting into politics. And I really hope that the comment section doesn't devolve into a discussion of the individuals of these specific policies that I'm going to talk about. I remember seeing this video like 26 or 27 years ago of Nancy Pelosi advocating for a universal healthcare system, similar to Medicare for All. Whether you think that Medicare for All is a good thing or a bad thing, whether you like or you hate Nancy Pelosi, please, for the love of God, for this video, just leave that to the side for now so that I can make my point. She actually seemed to care about it. She was excited about it. She thought that she could make real change. And then you see how she talks about those same policies now as if they're ridiculous. Absolute, utter pipe dream. And what I think happens is, I don't think it's 100% of people just getting checks, just, pay-for-play corruption kind of stuff. I think at some point, people who want to make change, they finally get elected, they finally start getting their voice heard out there, and they are told, listen, you may be able to make change, but not like this. You need to button up your shirt, put your bow tie on. You need to do things on our terms. Yet the people who are saying you need to do it on our terms are the opposition. And then at some point, you maybe actually get worn down and become cynical and jaded and actually believe that's the way things are supposed to be. And watching that 1993, 1994 Nancy Pelosi and 2020 Nancy Pelosi, you can kind of see it's kind of someone that's gotten really, really worn down over people saying that's not the way things are supposed to be done. Now, I kind of wonder if do you get into politics actually thinking, I'm going to make things better, I'm going to change things, and then kind of become the swamp that you said that you were going to drain? I want you to hold me to task there. I don't ever want to become the swamp that I'm saying I want to drain. I know that the reason that people are saying these things is because I'm getting through to people. It's because I'm getting people that never knew this was an issue to care about it. And it's because people who used to speak and lie to a group of 5 or 6 politicians in a room that was practically empty, where nobody cared and nobody knew who they were, are now lying to politicians in a room where I may be holding up a camera. 800,000 people may watch. 1 million people may watch. 1.5 million people now may watch. Next year, who knows? Maybe 3 or 4 million people will be watching. They're actually being held accountable for the lies that they tell. They're being held accountable for the fact that they get paid a 6-figure salary to lobby against the interests of the American people, against your right to service your own private property. They're being held accountable for making bad faith arguments based on fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And the individuals that get paid by your tax dollars are being held accountable for choosing to listen to them over us. Perhaps my way of doing things is not the conventional way of doing things. The conventional way of doing things does not appear to have gotten us jack shit. And one thing that I am sure of is that I am not quite ready to just listen to my opposition and take them at their word. That we would love to sit down at the table. We'd love to work with you. We'd love to listen to you. It's just that this guy used the word clueless in a thumbnail, and another lobbyist said that he was mean, so we can't listen to you. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. If that were true, you would have not been canceling meetings 3 or 4 years ago, right when the opposition lobbyist pays you. Like, this is not stuff that I buy. I don't buy it now. I'm not buying it into the future. And the thing is, the more you get involved with the system, what I think happens is they want you to believe that if you just play the game the way it's supposed to be played, that eventually you'll accomplish something. Eventually you'll get there. And they keep kind of holding the carrot away from you. And they're like, yay, you're going to get it, you're going to get it, you're going to get it. And then 10 years later, it's like, yeah, you're this close, you're going to get it. I'm not chasing someone's carrot. And if I don't end up succeeding in pushing through right to repair legislation, if all I manage to do is show you just how horribly ineffective and corrupt and useless our system is, I'll accept that as a goal, because that means that we'll be closer to actually replacing it with something that works. If all I manage to accomplish here is show you that there are groups of people that can just sit there and lie and read off a piece of paper and make crap up to a group of people who are staring at their cell phones, who barely care about you, the voter, the taxpayer that actually pays their salary, then so be it. I'll accept it. But what I never want to become, and please hold me to this, is someone that changes my tactics, that stops holding people to task, that stops holding people accountable because of this type of slander. And that's what it is. The reason that these individuals are going to legislators in trying to paint right to repair people as bullies are because what we're doing is working. What we're saying is correct. They don't have a good argument anymore. And one of the things that I've said is that I really dislike when people try to slander those who become angry at something. Anger, when properly channeled, is a very good thing. Anger is a natural emotion that is utilized in defense of human dignity. When you believe that your dignity is being attacked, when you believe that your identity and everything that you stand for is being laughed at, you become angry. And that could be channeled in a negative way, in a bad way, like senseless violence. Or it can be channeled to invite or inspire people to take part in positive change and change their small corner of the world and make it a little bit better and let everybody know about a particular issue so that everybody can work together to improve the world. The emotion anger is like the white blood cell of human dignity. It's a good thing. And I don't think that people should stop being angry when they see what they see. But it's going to be incredibly important when speaking to legislators, when speaking to your local senator, when speaking to your local congressperson, when speaking to your local representative in the assembly, to let them know, hey, by the way, this is what happens when we advocate for right to repair. This is what happens when we point this out. This is what they're going to say. They're going to say that we are bullies or mean or horrible people. We're not. We want to be able to fix our own stuff, and we get mad when people show up here and say that magnetometers are going to explode, that TikTok will show up on phones magically, and that everybody will be spied on, when these lobbyists represent the very companies that are installing spyware on the products that we're paying for. When we make the argument first, it's easier for the fear, uncertainty, and doubt and bullshit to be dismissed. It's harder if one person is bringing it up. Do not let this false narrative take hold that people who wish to see positive change in politics, that people who wish to hold corruption to task, and that people who will call a spade are bullies because they are holding people accountable who for decades have never been held accountable, have never been seen in the public eye, have never been exposed to the light like a cockroach when you turn on the kitchen light at night when you're going to get yourself a cup of water. Because that's what's happening here. It's clear as day. That's it for today. And as always, I hope you learned something. I plan on moving forward with an organization that I want to push right to repair in 3 ways. A, I want to really supercharge the content on wiki2.rossmanngroup.com across many other devices, start hiring experts in the individual niche fields to create solutions that help people actually make money working on repairs and actually fix their own products using information that they otherwise would have to torture themselves for years to find out. B, I want normal people to understand why right to repair is an issue. And C, I want to push for legislation that helps all of us, not just the laptop people, not just the cell phone people, not just the farmers, not just the auto mechanics, everybody, including, above all, the end user. And if you observe that I stop holding people to account, that I start buying into this bullshit, please, I'm begging you at this point in time, unsubscribe and stop watching me. Hold me to account in this way. We're not always going to agree. We're not always going to agree on strategy. We're not always going to agree on ideology. We're not always going to agree on the fine print. But we need to agree on what cannot be compromised on is that we are not going to let people who dislike us, who don't respect us, who don't want to see us succeed, frame the rules of the game. I'm not always going to do the right thing. I'm not always going to win. But what I promise you is that I'm going to stay true to what I advocate for. I'm going to continue to call a spade, and I am not going to compromise my principles to play politics because I'm told that that's the way the game works. I don't care about the way the game works. I think the way the game works does not work for most ordinary people. I think it is highly corrupt, I think it is garbage, and I think there is a reason that Congress has a below 20% approval rating in this country. I don't want to play the game the way it's supposed to work. I want to play it my way. Sometimes that'll mean that we lose. Sometimes it'll mean that I may look bad. Sometimes it'll mean that it's easy to put me up and turn me into a piñata and say, that's the reason that you don't have right to repair. Please understand that when you start to hear these arguments, when you start to hear people say that I'm a bully, that these poor lobbyists are the victims, that they like the system to be as broken as it is, they rely on the system being as broken as it is. Their salary depends on the system being as broken as it is. And I don't want to work within it. I don't intend to work within it. This is not something that I ever thought that I would be doing. But if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it my way, and I'm going to do it right. That's it for today. And as always, I hope you learned something. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye now.